Here we go.
Hello guys, I'm Comic Book Movie Film Productions, and welcome back to the DC Film Retrospective. Today's film is focused on a different member of the Superman family, and the first female-led superhero film in DC's history, Supergirl. After she was cut from being in the early draft of Superman 3, which as I say in my review, would have been raised by Brainiac and in a love triangle with Superman and Lois Lane, the Salkins, who got the rights to Supergirl when they got the Superman rights way back when, wanted to launch her as their own franchise since Christopher Reeve was more reluctant on playing Superman and even cancelled the cameo he was supposed to have for this film. Despite he worked with the director of the film in Somewhere in Time, and he also directed Jaws 2, so he was experienced at least. The Salkins wanted to recreate the success of the first two Reeve films and cast out new actors in the lead. Despite many famous actors auditioning, Helen Slater ended up getting the role, and the film was quickly put into production, shooting right after Superman 3 finished its box office run in the fall of 1983. The film was scheduled to have a summer 1984 release for Warner Bros., but after seeing how poorly Superman 3 did, along with it not looking like a hit, they didn't distribute the film domestically and instead tried to release it in the States on November 1984, despite its release internationally a few months earlier in July, and was a massive critical and financial failure, which further pushed the series back and led to the Salkins a couple years later selling the Superman rights to Canon Films, and I'll discuss that more when we get to Superman 4. But anyways, with the history out of the way, let's get into the plot. The film starts off in Argo City, Kara Zor-El's, aka Supergirl's home, played by Helen Slater, that is similar to Krypton where her cousin Kal-El was from, but instead of being in outer space, it's in inner space, meaning it's deep in the ocean in a different dimension. At the beginning of the film, she is talking about a man named Zoltar, played by Peter O'Toole, who distracts her with the main power source of the city that he stole for the afternoon to test it out, as Kara accidentally gets the MacGuffin sucked out of the city, meaning the city will die within days and not returned. So Kara takes Zoltar's ship and heads to Earth, where the MacGuffin lands in the hands of a wannabe witch Selena, played by Faye Dunaway. She abandons her quote-unquote warlock boyfriend Nigel, played by Peter Cook, as she and her best friend Bianca, played by Brenda Vaccaro, plan to take over the world and also make an attractive groundskeeper, Ethan, played by Hart Pochner, her servant. Meanwhile, Kara flies up to Earth as she arrives in her superhero suit and realizes that she has powers on Earth, and flies around for a bit, testing them out. She decides to take notes from her cousin and go under an identity as a student at an all-girls school, Linda Lee. She quickly befriends her roommate Lucy Lane, Lois Lane's younger sister, played by Maureen Teefy, as Supergirl tries to track down the power source. Selena tries using a love potion to make Ethan fall in love with her, but he skips her base house located in an abandoned amusement park as she uses some extra black magic to control a construction vehicle, destroying the town as Supergirl is hanging out with Lucy and Jimmy Olsen, Lucy's boyfriend, and the only character and actor returning from the previous Superman films, as she saves him as Linda, and he falls in love with her due to the potion's rule. Selena then tries to defeat Supergirl as she battles Selena's monsters and wins until she finds her base due to her kidnapping Lucy, Olsen, and Nigel, who she tricked into helping her expel the love potion and create a new one, as Supergirl gets tricked into getting trapped in the Phantom Zone with Zoltar, who was banished her earlier due to stealing and losing the power source. She and Zoltar find a way to get out of the Phantom Zone, but Zoltar dies along the way. She returns to Earth as Selena is conjuring up a dragon and harassing the people in her town to obey her. She uses Zoltar's motivational words and uses her powers to get the power source back and trap Selena, Bianca, and the dragon in the Phantom Zone as she returns back to Argo City as Crow. The movie has quite a stacked cast for the quality of this movie, and most of the acting is solid from Faye Dunaway, Peter O'Toole, Peter Cook, along with Jackie Cooper returning as Jimmy Olsen, which was fun to see, along with some of the wire work, while it's not crappy blue screen, for Supergirl was actually quite good along with her costume. The film also has some good production design like in the Phantom Zone and a decent score. Plus this film is important to comic book history as it is the first female-led superhero film ever made. Where do I start with this film? Well, to begin, this film is not entertaining whatsoever. It's not even laughably bad for the most part, apart from some terrible effects towards the end, which a lot of the film's effects are quite cheap for how big of a character she is. Beyond the effects, the writing is terrible. The film is all over the place as in terms of plot and tone. The film is 2 hours and it drags so much. I've complained about movies in the past, even in this retrospective, that they needed to pick up the pace, but this drags so much to the point where I had to pause the movie and listen to some music to wake myself up towards the end. Due to the film stretching out every scene a little too long, it seems like, and also underdeveloping so many aspects of the story, from the setup of Supergirl's world, the romance, which is laughably bad, the villains which are just cornball wannabe take over the world villains. If it wasn't for the actors, it would be even worse. Speaking of the acting, Helen Slater isn't terrible in the lead, but definitely miscast. She doesn't have that same charm that Christopher Reeve had, and that she's a lot more awkward, and you can tell that she didn't know how to approach this character, probably due to the direction. Also, it really bothers me that she just shows up with a suit on Earth. At least Reeve's movies explained it, but here, she just has it because, I don't know, because the film is a lackluster of excitement due to the action scenes being silly, from the construction vehicle destroying the town, or a voodoo doll torturing Supergirl like it's a rejected Child's Play movie. None of it works due to how little you care about the characters, and the film doesn't set up the stakes well half the time, so you don't even know what's going on. The film tries to copy so much from the pre-Superman movies, but it doesn't feel earned. It's just reminding you that this is part of the series, despite it not being mentioned in any of the other Superman movies, nor is it part of any box sets. It's just not entertaining to watch at all and deserves to be forgotten. All in all, Supergirl is a terrible movie and easily the worst one I've covered in the series thus far. It's not even so bad as good for the most part. It's just so boring, due to the long pacing, underdeveloped characters, bad action, terrible romance, lack of coherent plot, bad writing and direction. Its goofy demeanor turned all the way up just like Superman 3, copying from the other Superman movies, and so much more that is disrespectful towards the character herself as well as the series. Apart from the acting, score, and some good production design, this is a trash superhero film and a situation where the CW did way better. I give Supergirl a D-, a 1 out of 10, and a skip a recommendation. So that's Supergirl. What do you guys think about it? Leave your thoughts down in the comments and please make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I'm Comic Book Movie Film Productions, and this isn't the last DC film to review because justice needs to be served.